Scions number 302. It is February 15th. We got the Olympics on in the background. Georgia Tech does not have any Olympians this year, sadly. Uh, Actually, we've never had a Winter Olympian. Not fun fact,
Really?
but yeah,
Hmm.
hopefully we'll change that one day. But we're going to talk the latest in Georgia Tech sports over the last week in terms of the opening series for baseball. We'll talk about softball's last bit. Uh, Basketball, we'll talk about it. And then tennis happened, and then swim and dive shows up, and then lacrosse is back in action, which is really fun to see with Ken Lovich's very successful lacrosse team. So we'll get to that at the end. But we're going to lead with baseball, and baseball I think is going to lead this podcast literally until June. Hopefully into mid June if
It
things go.
better.
Yeah. Hopefully into
If
mid
it
June.
doesn't, something has gone wrong.
Something's gone wrong, or there's another pandemic, or something terrible. Otherwise, this will be our thing. But so
Man,
Tech went 3-0. Yeah, I'm going run past it, run past it, run past it, run past it. We are we swept Bowling Green this weekend, 11-5, 27-4, and 12-2 in a shortened game. The third game was supposed to be happening right now. We're recording about 3 o'clock on Sunday, but there was rain today here in Atlanta, and so they proactively moved Game Three to a doubleheader situation on Saturday, which was very helpful. Just some quick notes before we start discussing. Friday had the largest home opener crowd in team history, which is very nice to see. About 2,700 people, I want to say, was about that number. It was our 13th straight opening day win. Tate McKee got the ball to start his second straight opening day start and had a great day. And that it was mostly a bottom of the order showing there. Uh, just off the top of the dome, Jake, I know there's been a couple opening first couple weekend series where it's just like, why did we lose that game kind of thing? But this was pretty much straight domination from start to finish, best I could tell. Being at the ballpark on Friday and looking at these scores for yesterday's games.
oh, for sure. I don't think you can turn your nose up at a sweep at a record attendance to open a year at a you know I would say pretty solid showing in general. So I don't know, Jack. You're the one who was actually there in person. But
Yes.
in terms of how things played out, I don't think you can turn your nose up too much. And I'd say that like before we get too far away from it, Bowling Green's not too bad of a team. The last couple of years, 140th in the country, not necessarily um, you know straight world beater type of situation, but for a team that literally got killed during the pandemic, you know, uh,
Yeah.
there are certainly twice as many teams, or not twice as many teams. What the difference is there? 200 teams in the country that are not as good as Bowling Green. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a good way to start off. Not too challenging, not too much of a walkover either. So
Yeah.
good
We did.
competitive team. Good to get them in the building. So
It wasn't the kind, at least they didn't show up as the kind of team that like had like one starter that could like just mow people down, and
yeah,
that was the extent of their team. Like this was a team we could handle from start to finish.
yeah.
I was there for opening night. I did not go to yesterday's games, but about game one, Tate McKee looked very good. His slider was on point. Like his breaking stuff was there. There was a third or fourth inning where he struck out all batters looking on sliders, and just he had some special stuff going on. Caleb Daniel was the star of the show, though. He had a rough warm up to the season, as best I could tell. He was pulling the ball a little too much, just like some stuff I picked up talking to the guys in the press box. He hits an inside the park home run to dead center, and then an actual home run to dead center in this game to drive in the bulk of the runs, which is so cool to see. Uh, and then we were able to get some freshman pitchers in to the game because we were up by enough, and we were able to make that happen. Dylan Lau came in; he was good. Saturday, we had an 11-run inning, and that pretty much sealed the deal very, very early on. That was not a run-ruled game because the second game was scheduled to be that. So that's why we were able to play all 9 innings and get to 27 runs. Mesa Patel got the start, went 5 innings, and then game two, Alex Hernandez went 4 for 4. Everyone was just getting on base, and then the game very quickly ended in the seventh inning. And Cooper Underwood, one of the star freshmen that we were unsure if we were going to get because he could have gotten drafted, he went 3 2/3 innings to start out that game as well. So, uh,
Yeah.
if I like it, I like it all. We like it all. I mean, this is exactly what you want from the first weekend. Did we learn that much? Maybe a little bit here and there about some of the new arms, but ultimately this was a make sure everyone was settled. doing well in the zone. And honestly, after the first couple innings where we didn't hit, and then we basically hit every other inning the rest of the weekend, it was a very everything was settled in the groove that we exactly want to see at this point.
Yeah, and I think one thing to note too is early in the year might have a bit of a reasonably short hook for pitching side. So I don't know. I might expect to see some of those uh, guys get a little bit longer of an opportunity, if you will,
Yeah,
going going forward there. I know that the fourth was when Bowling Green broke up the, the shutout, if you will. So, but three and two thirds for a freshman Sunday starter. You don't need to burn down the barn to just
no,
throw somebody for 7 innings. Get in, get confident, shake off the rust, and
yeah,
that's the Sunday spot's a pretty key role. Obviously, they all matter, and you want to have a good person in all of those. But if you're going to be playing a lot of rubber matches, you want somebody out there
yeah.
who's not blowing things out weekend one against Bowling Green.
No, no, not at all. And just to check, just to fully list out his box score here: three and two thirds innings, four hits, two earned runs, two strikeouts, two walks, and four strikeouts over 16 batters faced. You got 66 pitches out there and 41 strikes. Tech only threw 106 pitches over the 7 innings of ball that they had to play, so that's pretty nice. I was looking back at the 27 run game. So for one, um, I mean, I guess you probably read this note in our shot sheet, but 27 runs. The last time we scored this many runs in a game was the first year of Danny Hall. This was game two of James Ramsey's tenure. So parallels showing up there. We scored our 27 runs on 22 hits. We had 15 dudes left on base, and we had like 11 the night before. We were 15 for 26 with runners in scoring position in that game. So that's how you stack up that many runs in a row. Who all did it? I'm trying to see who else
And,
got any
well,
homers here.
and
Only one homer the whole time. Hernandez had the only homer the whole game.
and that's the thing too, kind of cloudy. It wasn't like imminent rain
No.
type of weather yesterday, but like high clouds, a little bit of cold in the air. I think, as the weather warms up, the ball leaves the yard a
Yep.
little bit
Yep.
more
Yep.
coming down the pipe, and yeah, just kind of looking up and down the sheet. Got a lot of names that you see getting pinch hits and those kinds of opportunities in the mix.
Yep.
Not so much in
Yep.
in the second game, but certainly in the first game. So not bad there. It's the kind of thing that you definitely want to see from your lineup. And honestly, with how good some of our offenses have been, the fact that this team hasn't scored 27 runs in a game might surprise some. But
Well, I
if
mean,
if
that's
if this
partially
is
fun.
weekend one with some weird Babbitt luck, then geez, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, also like this, there was a lot of these games are going to get run ruled, and this is just a weird case where this didn't have that preset in place kind of thing. So
yeah,
that's
that's
also a
fair.
weird factor. Usually, a number of these games would end up being done in this case, it would have been done in the seventh inning. The list out
Yeah.
the guys that managed to get pinch hit at bats appearances. Cade Brown came in for Advincula, played second and third base. Parker Brocious came in and played center for Drew Burris. Michael D came in and played second base in Kent Schmidt's spots. Lewis Coleman came in and played right field. Tyler Nisus came in and DH for a little bit. Dominic Stevenson came in and caught. Judson Hartwell came in. He played left field for Caleb Daniel. And then Nathaniel Coupe, who we've seen in the past, came in and played catcher and first base. Also to note, Mason Patel threw 96 pitches in this outing. Like they let him throw a lot to start this game. He had a 63 strikes, finished all 5 innings, only 5 hits in over the stretch, and 7 strikeouts. So, uh, I think there's an efficiency thing to be said there in terms of just getting batters out faster if you're going to face 21 batters and throw 96 pitches. But that's still just fine for right now.
Yeah.
There will, and that goes into another theme of like some little things to still clean up. Like in the first game, there were some errors that just were unforced in the infield that could get cleaned up. There wasn't really any base running mistakes, but there was just a couple. There's a couple things here and there. Like okay, there's some spots to clean up on, still some things to fix here and there, but it wasn't like a like oh no. There was no oh crap moments. I think that's the big thing here is that there was not something so debilitating. Like that guy can't be in this position ever again. It was like okay, first game jitters. There's nothing really to panic about there, which is Maybe overstating it a lot, but just baseball. You don't. These guys are going to play perfect. These guys don't play like pros necessarily because they're not pros quite yet. But overall, it's what we want to see. Drew
Yeah.
Rogers got to catch both games of the doubleheader. He was listed starting catcher, so Von Lackey DH'd for those games. He caught on Friday night. 50 runs scored is the most we've scored in an opening weekend in a 3-game opening weekend in program history. Which, as you mentioned, for a team that's had a lot of 3-game opening weekends and that has had a lot of very stacked lineups historically, they're already kind of proven the point we talked about last week, which is like this team has no holes, at least in the batting order, and this weekend definitely was a way to show that. So
Well, and to your point on Lackey, Lackey Rogers type combo, and
mhm.
as Scott said in our from the Rumble Seat Slack, but what a luxury to have a guy that you can plug in and play, save Lackey's knees or Rogers's knees, and they're both equally effective or pretty darn close. Like that
Yeah,
that's like and you used this illusion last week, but like you talk about, Braves 2021, I think, Cubs 2016 comes to mind that
hmm
the Dodgers just patching things that aren't even holes with somehow upgrading. Like that is the
right.
kind of
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
it's putting good on good and certainly some that we saw this week. So,
yeah.
I saw nothing to freak out about. Yes, 5 runs allowed in the first game, but I mean, if your offense is gonna score double digits every game, then you can give up 5. And also, it's opening weekend, so
Yeah.
no need to overreact. You won all 3 games. There are teams in the
Yep.
top 25 that didn't do that. Teams up the road that didn't do that, but
Uh-huh.
right state's pretty good, so I'm not going to take any laps on that. We played them to open the slate a couple of years ago, and they're always a really great program up there. So, but you got to get the digs in while you can, right, Jack?
Exactly, exactly. Trying to yeah, in terms of future pitching, I don't know who's quite is starting on Tuesday. Caden Spivey is probably a guy I would look out for to be the possibly the Tuesday starter, at least for this first round against Georgia Southern. But for the most part, most everyone's going to be available that would be available for a Tuesday start. Um, I have one thing I was not pleased with. Only one thing, and that was the new batting helmets. Not a fan.
I
Not a fan.
it yeah, look look not like Georgia Tech.
No, I think that's a great way to put it.
Maybe a
Yeah,
school in South Bend, it looks like.
just go look at any photos from this weekend. You will see the Tech's new batting helmets are extremely shiny gold. Like we're talking like shinier than the Notre Dame football helmets level shiny gold here.
Yeah.
Not our traditional rustic. Like when they were wearing them when it was sunny outside, like it could absolutely be a problem for. They're shiny enough that like a pitcher wouldn't be unfounded to make the complaint that the batting helmet is too shiny and is distracting me on the mound. Like that is like that. I like
It
as a guy
doesn't
who
match
pitched.
the uniforms either,
Also,
Jack.
also that yeah, it's too shiny. That's the thing. The gold is too shiny for
It's
the level.
highlighter. And like it's not even Notre Dame gold. It's like to the point of like being a highlighter almost. I don't know. Like it looks green or yellow,
At least it may come
not
across
like
like
an
that.
orange or like old gold type color, if that makes sense. I don't
It's
know.
seeing it in person. It like standing next to Ramsey in the press conference when he still had it on. It definitely I never got any like the green tones, like any like it's overdoing it too far. Like it was very clearly gold. It's like shiny gold. On TV, it
Mm-hmm.
definitely can come across looking a little bit different. But I think that's my only. That's the only thing I'd be like. I don't know. I would have preferred to see the bland matte blue helmets over that at this point. But that's a very tiny nitpick. And what the hell? It's Adidas's last year.
So one thing I wanted to mention too. So yesterday was out and about for some weekend events and around town, and flipped on Atlanta News First when I got home because noticed from the MARTA window a giant plume of black smoke in the distance, and I was like, surely the news will know what's up there. And the chyron at the bottom was like, large plume of smoke over downtown Atlanta, and I was like, very useful Atlanta News First. But they were like, our
Well done.
crew's on the way, we're gonna figure it out. But turns out it was a warehouse fire. But all this to say, in between that initial update and the follow-up update, we got a promo for all access weekly half-hour show of Georgia Tech baseball on the road to Omaha. And I I cannot let this opportunity to say casual Georgia Tech content on local news is exactly the kind of like pushing Georgia Tech to our local area that I
Yeah.
feel like really never comes by. Like obviously you got some shows on the radio networks and things like
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes. But like for A&F to have like a full half-hour cut up show of like insider access in not even the football team, but like the baseball team, this is how you become relevant in Atlanta in a way that
Yeah.
typically it seems like we haven't been. So I
Yeah.
think this is awesome, Jack.
Yeah.
If
It's
you're going
good.
to leverage all this hype to do something, might as well get it in front of as many people's eyeballs as possible. And over the air local news is the exact way you break into the lack
Yeah.
of a better term, normies or disinterested or just casually interested people. So,
Right, right, and it's not like Atlanta News First hasn't been around our other programs in the past. Like they go to that, I see them at basketball press
oh, for sure.
conferences and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, it is notable. It's like, hey, here's a dedicated segment that's gonna be more regular because, and obviously, I mean, everyone that knows a
Mhm.
thing about college sports knows that this team was gonna be big, and so getting ahead of that is
Yeah.
the thing you do if you want to have a good editorial, which is not a thing that other big newspapers such as the Washington Post think that is valuable, but we know it's valuable, so we're glad we're doing it and seeing it here in the city. Um, all right, let's take a quick jaunt around the ACC, just because I mean, as we haven't really done this that much for football because we kind of gave up on tracking everybody, but for baseball, the thing is most of the conference is really good and will be competing with us for not only for the top of the conference regular season title crown, but like rankings and spots that are going to be valuable when we come into May and June and then talk about the tournament and where we might slot and things like that. So like that, these are all important things. And at the moment, we play most of the teams that are ranked right now. We play most of them this year on our schedule, as is currently the case. So these
Yep.
are like tracking these teams is going to go a long way. Whenever teams can get a hiccup, is going to be big. So just to track it here. So just to list the teams that are ranked before we go into what they did this weekend. Louisville is ranked number 8. North Carolina is ranked number 11. FSU is ranked number 16. North Carolina State 17. Clemson 19. Wake Forest 21. Miami 22. We are number 2 by perfect game, number 5 by Division 1. So we are the top ranked ACC team for now. That will hold considering we did not lose this weekend. But what did you want to hit, Jake, in terms of what happened around the conference this weekend?
Yeah, I do want to note that this list was compiled about an hour ago as of us recording at 3:15 on a Sunday. So obviously subject to some change, but with the weather in the Southeast, more events than you might think are already completely logged in the books. Number 8, Louisville, up game 3, but has lost twice to Michigan State at home. That's interesting to me. Most other games went mostly chalk-ish. A little bit of noise outside of the top, I guess 20-ish type ACC team. So your top five plus Georgia Tech all are kind of performing as expected. Wake did split Houston and Washington games down in Puerto Rico, but probably the big results to me that do fly off the page. Other than the Louisville one, but in like a positive for these teams kind of way. Number 22, Miami, scored 30 runs in the first 2 games of their series and was up 22-3 against Lehigh at the time of publishing. Granted, not necessarily the strongest opponent there, but 52 runs is a lot of runs. We just
It's
got
more than
done
what we
talking
scored.
about. I was gonna say we just got done talking about a smaller number of runs as like records. So yeah, that was pretty big. And to top that, UVA, aka the team formerly known as Duke, because if you haven't been following, Brian O'Connor went over to Mississippi State, and then Chris Pollard got hired from Duke to UVA. So a lot of familiar faces there. So think about this as last year's Duke, kind of, but they did keep some talent around. It jokes. We'll lean into this during the year, but they scored 69 runs in 3 games against Wagner at home. Yeah, that's a lot of offense. That's an average of 23 a game. So
Oh boy.
yeah, they can hit. So keep an eye on that. Otherwise, you got Stanford in a preseason tournament and surprise Arizona with a tight game against number 12 Oregon State and splitting Michigan and Arizona games. Let's see. Cal took the series from Santa Clara at home, but actually visits Santa Clara on the road on Monday to finish that off. I thought that was kind of a neat scheduling quirk for the
Hmm.
Power Four team to kind of get, it's regional opening. Santa Clara is generally pretty quality program out there. So thought
Yeah.
thought that was a neat way to get in four games in 5 days. Of note, Pitt looked pretty good offensively. taking the series against Western Michigan. Notre Dame saw Florida Atlantic, and they're generally pretty good at the stickball type of sports. And yeah, all to say the ACC's got a scary got a lot of scary lineups yet again this year, Jack. It's going to be a matter of who can keep who off the board, or so it seems. So
Yep. Yeah, it'll be yeah, any little advantage we can get is going to be big this year. Yeah,
yep.
Miami scored 27. They're up to 27. Or they won. They just did the mercy rule. They won 27-3 in their game just now. So that's a live as of just now update for that game.
And what a merciful rule it is.
Sure. Yep. That is the thing. Uh, yeah. So next week we got Georgia State on Tuesday, and then Stony Brook comes to town. They're going to play four. So they're going to play Friday, two on Saturday, and then one on Sunday. The game starts there at 4 o'clock on Friday, 12 o'clock for the first game of the doubleheader. The second game will start approximately an hour after that game ends, and then a 1 p.m. start on Sunday. So if things go right, we will be what are we 3-0? We'll be +5. We'll be 8-0 after this weekend if things go right, and then hopefully we'll be talking about a lot of good stuff there and seeing. There'll be we'll have another starter to talk about after this as well because there's 5 games we need starting pitching for instead of 4, like the usual week will go. So I'll be curious to see who gets that extra spot start that this weekend demands. So, all right.
Yep.
With that, let's take a quick break and then we'll dive into basketball for not that much time.
Yeah. As always, this podcast is brought to you by Section 103. Section 103 is the best place to find Georgia Tech apparel on the whole of the internet. They also have Clemson, South Florida, Kennesaw State, Georgia Southern, and LSU merch as well. Nothing that seems to be particularly new week over week. We talked about some big news from them last week. This week, I did want to shout out because every once in a while I just kind of peruse, see what catches my eye. And I do appreciate the Clemson blue cheese specific shirt. I do like when a ag or A&M type of school has like a on-campus creamery or cheese or some other product, butter, whatnot. I thought that was fun. So always interesting to see there, and also the fonts are very of their time for seemingly like Clemson of the 2000s, if that makes sense. Jack, I don't know if you have any idea what I'm talking about, but if you saw the logo, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that looks like an old sign in their pool or something like that.
Nope, I don't.
Yes, but yeah, no, they've got plenty for all 6 schools and more to come as the site grows. Jack, section103.com, free shipping on orders over $100 every day, 10% off with code FDRS. But back to you. Let's talk some hoops.
Yes. I think the men's basketball team wish they had a hoop they could jump through just to shortcut their way through this season at this point. Tech in their 2 games this week lost a 9 o'clock Wednesday home game that I got offered very nice seats for that I said nope. I just am not going to stay up that late to watch this, and I was justified as we lost 83-67 to Wake Forest, and then lost 89-74 yesterday to Notre Dame. Yeah,
The
it's
team's
really
not getting better, and if anything, it seems it's actively getting worse, Jack.
that is the line that I crossed this week. Is like it doesn't seem like there's any real motivation to make anything better here. I
And
just opened the one.
that's the thing too. Notre Dame was 11 and 14 as well. They're not necessarily world beaters, and they were down 2 key players,
Yeah,
and
and
they lost by 15.
this game was never. It was literally never close. Yeah, we have now lost. Let me count here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row, all conference play. That means we have not won a game since January 17 when we beat NC State, who whose coach this week said, "Man, we even lost to Georgia Tech this year." So that's how that we are the laughing stock, and no one is going to correct that because that is absolutely true, and we barely won the game anyways. So, yeah, it will be over a month by the time we play our next game that this team will have won a game. Uh, I mean, at this point, if you're gonna fix this thing, I mean, we did get a question on Twitter like, what do you do? Like, how do you fix this in the immediate future? I don't know what to tell you. You could try some wacky ass strategy things or do something crazy. Find a way to just shake things up. I don't know. Uh, I'm not getting the vibe that this team it has any interest in doing anything like that though. In terms of long term
Which is
fix is well, go.
I was going to say, which is weird because like fairly highly regarded incoming talent, not nearly as many injuries as last year. You'd think
Hmm.
something would have to go better, and yet it's it's so much worse. It's the crazy thing is that kind of just reflecting on all this is like, yes, late late Hewitt, not awesome. Gregory, Malaise, Pastner, one great year, two pretty good years,
Yeah.
sprinkled around in there too, and then just kind of meh at the end there. And it's
Hmm.
almost like it's just stair stepping down a really long
Yeah.
slope, if that makes and I would argue the highs of the Pastner, maybe that's above Gregory, so maybe it's not a fair comparison, but just like it's like just a controlled descent into just the cellar, Jack,
Yep. Yeah. No,
on
there
everything.
hasn't. Yeah. There, outside of what are at this point actually fluky wins over Duke and North Carolina a couple years ago. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not much. There's not much showing for it. There are incoming players that yes, that and I think that's the damning thing about this team right now is that like there was. I mean, I remember I was at the press conference when this was. I forgot what game it was a couple years ago, but Damon was like, "Just wait until I got my guys in here. Like it'll be different. Just wait till I got my guys in here." Well, they're here, and this is what we're getting. So clearly something ain't right. And these guys, like these are like the like in terms of the talent level we were getting, is like okay, yeah, we can buy like this is talent level that like we want to see getting recruited here. Mosilla was a really big deal to get. Even Kerouac was like, okay, there's something here. Let him sit at whatever that the place that's in Atlantic Station for a year and get some more development and basically in our AAA squad. And it's just
OTE.
OT overtime elite. That's right. That's right. And it's just they there's no positive energy that it's like connectable to this team right now.
And I'm going to take a left turn
Go
because
ahead.
like I feel like when this first got spun up, and maybe it's because I lived in Home Park when they were building OTE, where it was like, wow, like look, this thing is going to come and it's going to bring all this talent to Atlanta and revitalize Georgia Tech. And like I knew people who that first year or so were like going to OTE to watch the stuff that happened
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And like I feel like that's fallen off the map too. Obviously, that's not part and parcel the same thing as like why Georgia Tech men's basketball
No, no.
has been putting up stinkers like in the moment. Like talent development's part of that, in-game coaching's part of that. Development year to year or retaining
Hmm.
talent year to year is a big part of that too. And I think I was reflecting on this yesterday, again, coming and going through normal Atlanta life, and I kind of finally articulated that it's like, yeah, it's nice that we got a Bayandongo and a Mosilla, I guess, but like we really couldn't match something to keep a proven ACC starting point guard, even an undersized one and a somewhat inconsistent one at that.
Yeah.
Like two big guys is a luxury, much like two catchers is a luxury.
Right.
When you've been as inconsistent as Georgia Tech men's basketball, but like at least keeping a guy who will sell tickets, dish the ball around, and has had flashes of some pretty good highs, right? And that's a guy who like acknowledged that Damon Stoudemire like believed in him when no one else did and got him his opportunity and all that.
Hmm.
How do you not keep that in the building to get some
And
momentum, to
let's
get
be clear.
some
We're talking about
consistency? I'm
we're
talking
talking
about
about
Nate George here.
yeah, I was about to say we're talking about Nate George, and by God, we'd be so much better if we had him right now. Like he hasn't been a world
Yeah,
beater
we
for
would.
He hasn't been a world beater for Syracuse this year, but it still would have been like okay, like that dude made some moments for us. Like he wasn't he had some streakiness. There was some like bad Nate George nights, but the good Nate George was so fun to watch, and at least it gave Tech basketball a chance to beat anybody because he was critical in those Duke and North Carolina games that we won. Uh, and yes, I mean yes, we should have done better in a lot of other games. Yes, we got hurt and that put a lot of load on him, but like the dude did enough to at least keep us relevant and at least make it to where it's like, hey, you can have some rando ACC night, which I know is a very low floor that we're talking about here, but it still is like at least was something to build off of. And we did not reconstruct this team with after losing some pretty core pieces that uh, just left with this. And at this point, I mean, I remember I was going to talk about long term fixes. That's the thing. If we cannot match Syracuse in this, yes, Syracuse has been a long time a basketball powerhouse and whatnot, but like if we cannot play the financial game in this sport, we are going to be talking about this every single year, and it will not matter
And
who's coaching this team.
I've been batting around these like thoughts in my head, and shame on me. There's like four interesting threads I think I could pull at here, and I'm not going to remember all of them. So maybe we talk about one or two now, and then it crosses my head the next time we're on a podcast. So just consider us doing this on the fly. Jack, part of me as like the Georgia Tech fan who refuses to believe we can have nice things at all times, just due to the financial constraints and the reality of just inconsistency and things like that. Like you're prioritizing, and clearly
Yep.
the prioritization at this school, as it's done now in this department, is baseball, football, volleyball, and then after that, like, yeah, there's some women's basketball there, there's some softball there, things like that. But like baseball was able to go into the portal and get Jared Avicula,
Hmm.
Zuckerman, some good pitching help that we talked about last week, and keep the entire roster together. And sure, personal relationships, I'm sure have things to do with that, right?
Yep.
But it's one that was able to go into the transfer portal in football and replace uh, future legend or already legend of the flat Haynes King with
Hmm.
a national championship winning quarterback who has a, I guess, Heisman by blood and previous program pedigree,
We'll see what
and
happens there.
maybe the most talented running back that transferred in the portal. I don't know
Yeah.
enough about transferring, but like you don't
No, I mean
get
he's get we
you
got
don't
we got
land a yeah
we got an
you don't
RB1 after we had a guy that totally could have been an RB1 in Malachi Hosley here. Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
like prioritization and like successful navigation, and maybe it's early to say successful, but I mean Georgia Tech was a reasonable number of close plays away from being double-digit wins
Hmm.
in multiple permutations last year in football.
Yep.
It's currently ranked fifth, and we just talked about all the records they set in baseball, and dare
Hmm.
I say, knock on wood, looking pretty good. It's a hard league, and it's a crapshoot of a tournament, but they all are, right? Like
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
it's something that's competitive, and that's the thing too. Even in a rebuild, and I'd say probably on the early edge of the comeback up for volleyball, which is maybe just a little more natural given some of the ebbs and flows and talent are a little bit different. There is one that's been competitive in a new look conference with some really scary additions, right?
Yep.
It, it, I get it. I'm an engineer. I'm a Georgia Tech grad. I get that you're spending money in specific ways and spending resources in specific ways, but like,
Mm.
is the price to pay really that men's basketball is going to be terrible forever? Like, it can't possibly be true. There's too
Hopefully,
much
yeah.
too much basketball talent in the world to go
Right.
around. Like, it's not even competitive, Jack. Not even competitive looking,
That's the
right?
problem. Yeah, that's the thing is there's enough guys out there that we should be good enough. And I think part of how you ranking the teams in terms of like priority of like what's going in, like keep in mind that a lot of that does based on like how good is the leadership up top in the team itself. And like
Yep.
they volleyball has been very self-sustaining and very self-sufficient and very good for. I mean, Mitch Collier is of the longest tenured coaches we've had just in general across all sports now. And so like there's a lot of institutional things that just kind of it runs itself in a lot of ways. Golf has been like that with Bruce Epler for
Well,
a long time. Baseball has been like that for 25 years now. And
and
so
it
they're
seems like softball is getting to that point too. We'll talk about
yeah.
how this weekend was probably not what they wanted to get out of a weekend, but like
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
they've been
Eileen's at that
they've
point. Yeah,
been inching up that floor to be like,
yeah.
yeah, like they don't have necessarily the like flashy top line starting pitching talent that you need to like go to Oklahoma City, but like
No, like they're never
if you
gonna
can
be
be
if
on the
we
bubble and competitive most years,
that's a
that's
win
why you
for
play
us.
college sports, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's a win for us. They're, I mean, and their tickets are selling more than they had been in
yeah,
recent years as
they
well.
really
Like
are. Hmm.
they are making steady, incremental, progressive wins. And but the thing,
Hmm.
and I think all that to say is like to help those teams out, there's less work that needs to be done. Like the
Yeah.
project that is men's basketball is so resource intensive. You got to like really that is not like a quick little thing that you can do as a department. That is a much
Yeah.
bigger, long term restart kind of process that this team is going to have to need after the season ends. I said this
Yeah.
last week. I fully assume they're just going to let Damon just finish the season. Like, I don't rock the boat middle of the season. Just let it play out. Wait until there's guys available and go get a guy that you want that's available. It's going to be good, or buy someone out. I don't know. The facts. and here's the killer fact. I forgot to mention this. In terms of Ken Palm rankings, as of today, we are the worst rated team at 162nd amongst all Power Four plus Big East teams. On Torvik, our 5 game average score is negative, and at the moment is 38. That's really bad. That's 38 out of 100 points in terms of Torvik game score rating. So really freaking bad. And we get to play 2 ranked teams this week in Virginia. 9 o'clock start on Wednesday. Man, if you go, God bless your soul. And then we play at Louisville on Saturday, who's 24th ranked as a 2:15 start on the CW because yep, that's what we deserve at this point. So let's move on to women's basketball, who had only a single game this week against Clemson, but it was a very well hard fought game. They lost 67-65 in double overtime over in South Carolina. We were down 9 points at halftime, and then Erica Moon went on a tear, had her career high 22 points. Brianna Turnage had a career high 20 rebounds. We lost by 2 in double overtime, a heartbreaker. Moon had a layup to tie the game with 9 seconds left in overtime to force double OT, and then we lost a 4-point lead with 90 seconds to go in the second overtime. And to bring up the Torvik game score again, this had an 87. And so in terms of, yes, it was a close loss. Yes, Clemson's been better than us in recent times. They got our old friend Roos Augusta Night Day over there. But this was extreme. This is another very positive plot point in the Karen Blair slowly but steadily just finding this team, figuring out this team, and just the individual performance here. I think was very emblematic of, yes, it was in the loss column, but if for all intents and purposes, I view this as a win for the program.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like there's a reason that 2 11 and 15 teams were talking about very differently, and that's
Yeah.
that's where your difference between 71st and 162nd in the country, or 71st and
Yep.
156th in the country steps in,
Hmm.
right? And this women's team is one that's been fortunate enough to be in spots where they've been pretty close
Hmm. Yeah.
in a couple of these losses, and they've got a lot of fight to them. A loss in double overtime with an 87 game score, that's about what you can ask for this team at this time. It is going to take some sort of run in the tournament to get them in postseason play in either form or fashion. But you got to beat Pitt.
Yes. Yeah.
You must. I don't care where you're at as a program. I don't care how down you were last year. You cannot lose to the Pitt Panthers in women's basketball. You just cannot.
No.
So
We are 11-point favorites against them. They have won one single conference game. They have 8 total wins. At 11-15, we are still ahead of Stanford in the conference standings. At 6-8 in the conference. So we'll make the ACC tournament, and at least on the women's side. Let me go back and just check the men's side while I'm talking about the standings here. We're second to last. Uh, we are tied for last with Pitt on the men's side. Notre Dame has 3 wins, and they're the last team in right now. So we'll see if we make it on the men's side at all. But yes, back to the women. We have 4 games left. We're 11-point favorites over Pitt. 10-point underdogs to Virginia Tech, who we play in a week's time. So probably good. If things hold as chalk, we'll be 12-16 next time we talk to you about this team, and they'll be 7-9 in conference play. Hopefully we do better there. I mean, VT at the moment, they've won they're 19-7 this year. They've been really good, 9-5 in conference play, and they're really, really good at home as well. So not if a loss there is nothing to scoff at. We do not need to scoff at that whatsoever. They have the same conference record as Clemson. So like if we play up to that level that Clemson's been playing on the road again, that would be huge. Like that would be a real like, okay, Karen is clear. I mean, at this point I'm saying like Karen's figured something out here clearly. She's had basically there was roster construction that had to happen, but like there is still like, how is this team actually going to play together with all these pieces that are brand new to me? And she has made a lot of, I'm not going to call it a little, I don't think that's fair to say, it has made a lot of things with a lot of steps to figure out what this team is, like a lot of beginnings and things like that. So huge stuff there. Very good to see. And yes, as we mentioned, they're basically twice as good in the Torvik rankings for having the same record as the dudes. So that's they have a steady upward trajectory in their game scores according to Torvik. So that's what you need to know there. Okay, softball. They were down in Gainesville this weekend. They only won 1 game. That was against Marshall, and they lost all 4 of their games combined to Florida International and normal Florida. I accidentally thought that Florida International was Florida Atlantic, and I thought that was chalk. Nope, we should have won those games. We lost 6-5 and 6-4 to Florida International, and then lost 8-5 and 5-1 to Florida. Ignore my accidental. I thought FIU was FAU. I had that was a back of the mind thing. But just tell me like, why is losing 6-5 and 6-4 to FIU not ideal here?
I, I don't know. Like they're not the worst team in the world, but it's a low major program that you need to beat if you're going to be Georgia Tech and have a reasonable opportunity at a two seed in the tournament. If you want to reach those goals, you got to at least split those. I don't know. I don't want to be unreasonable and say you must win every game because if you're in that boat like that's a team that should be hosting, right? If you have those
Yeah.
kinds of expectations, but it's a tough way to lose twice. They weren't blowouts, so that's a maybe a normalization of some of the runners on base type of action
Hmm.
we talked about last week. So can't really complain too much. It's a 10-1 take care of business win against Marshall. Two close losses to a team that maybe you win one of those if you play them. Maybe you win one or two of those if you play them again 10 times, right? And then Florida, they were leading, I believe, 5-3 in the first game. That they wound up losing 8-5. So
Hmm.
again, tough allowing runs across late in games. The only one that really stands out as being a concern is 5-1 to the fourth best team in the country. So all in all, tough, tough
Yeah.
but fair. Maybe Jack. I don't know. Like uh,
Well,
I
I'm
am
looking
a
at
little concerned about the prospects, but again, we just saw FIU beat Louisville twice last weekend, so maybe they're better than some prognostication and just looking
well, I will
and
say,
vibing it out would
sure,
indicate, right?
I will say this first game we totally should have won. We were up 5-0 after two innings. And then
Yeah.
allowed two runs in the seventh to lose 6-5. Those were Hillary Johnson allowed those two runs at the end of the game there. Sydney
I was
Watts
gonna
threw.
say we were winning when I checked in.
Yep.
I didn't get a chance to watch a full game, but
Sydney Watts threw 4 2/3, only allowed three, only two strikeouts, six hits. Not one run was on, or four runs allowed, three were earned. Oh wait, I might be mistaking some names here. My bad. Hillary Johnson's not a person on this team whatsoever. That's a combination of two people on this team. Madeline Johnson, sorry, that was who allowed the runs at the end, and then Kenley Hillary was the one who pitched in the middle innings there. So uh, that is a you definitely want that. Anyone will want that game back. Leshburn Hunter hit homers in this game, but yeah, that's a rough rough way to go in terms of that game.
and
The other game that we had
and I
against
do.
them. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do want to make sure that we don't get too far away from this. FIU's like a top 90, top 100 team in the country last year,
Hmm.
so I don't want to characterize them as bad. These are
Right. Yeah.
reasonably competitive teams. So
Yeah.
just
Uh, yeah, and then at the second game, we were down 3-2 from the second inning on, and then they scored three in the seventh. We scored only two in the seventh. But in terms of, but so pretty similar across the board though with FIU in terms of other miscellaneous stats and things like that. So everything was close in those games, and those are those either or games that can make a difference down the line here. So that's the part that kind of sucks. Like, okay, you get one of these back, that who knows how that's going to help down the line when we have to like pick hairs if it's like if we're in a last four out situation kind of thing and seeing who we beat and stuff like that. So they got a lot of games this week. This week is the I-75 tournament here at Tech. They play College of Charleston, Georgia State, Purdue, College of Charleston, Yale, and Purdue again. So those games all happen between Thursday the 19th and Sunday the 22nd. So lots of opportunities to go see the girls this coming weekend at home. They'll be playing a lot of games. It'll be them and baseball will have a lot of games going on this weekend. You can watch 10 total games between Russ Chandler and Shirley Clements Newborn if you want to watch that much ball sports. What do you got?
and And I was going to say, in another, I just happen to pay attention to certain teams closer than others. Purdue has seen UIC, University of Illinois, at Chicago twice this year, and I do know that they've split those games. UIC's pretty good for a mid-major, low-major type of program. Love the MVC, but just keep an eyeball on those. Probably the most. I don't know. I need to take a look at College of Charleston. I wish I had a little bit more time to dig in there on some of their results. But if you're just going based off Power Four, those are Power Four winnable type of games versus going to the number four team in the country's home home
Yeah.
stadium for a set of games.
Yeah.
But if you give me just one sec, I do want to grab College of Charleston because that's one that we don't see every year. So let me just stall for just a sec. Jack, do you got anything else while I pull up their results so far?
I think main things to know here is that they're still rotating a lot of pitching around, so it's not just that this is pitching by not by committee necessarily, but like a lot of arms are still getting looks, which I think is a thing to note. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. The College of Charleston team is 7-4 so far on the year. I believe they played all games at home against a interesting variety of teams. Probably the most notable of which is UConn. They did beat UConn 2-1. Everything else is I guess maybe St. John's is kind of interesting, but a lot of mid to low major type of action. So we should be the first big game that they've been playing. So,
Got it. Just to double check, looking at the pitching stats fully now. Kenley Hillary, Timber Harris, Madeline Johnson, Sydney Watts are the ones that are getting the bulk of the work so far this year. Madeline Johnson's 29 and a third innings pitched. Kenley, and she's got the most by far. Sydney Watts is the next highest at 15 innings pitched. Kenley at 13 and two thirds. Timber at 8 and two thirds. Everyone's at a 3.0 or higher EP. Pretty much everyone's at 3 or above. Kenley's at 3. And then Timber, Madeline, and City are all hovering between 4 and 4.2 ERA at the moment. Madeline's just because she's got the most volume, has the most hits and runs and all that kind of stuff are allowed. So I'm not nothing crazy to say there. In terms of WHIP, both Madeline and City are at 1.33. So just in terms of just people not getting on base, they're the ones that are holding the most people off base at the moment. Alyssa Weiler
cool.
hitting 515. Pretty damn
You can
good.
take that.
Pretty damn
Take
good.
that.
17 hits total. Reese Hunter hitting 407. That's a huge jump. That's big. Reese Hunter was hovering around 200 last year. If she's going to keep her average doubled like that while catching every day, that is some massive, massive real improvement right there. That can make a massive difference.
And you can tell we're getting a decent number of games under the belt so far now because those numbers have interesting denominators that are implied by the results. Like 515, you gotta have a couple of at bats to get
Her on
there.
base
It's
is
not one for two or two for four, you know.
her on base is 605.
Nice.
Like that's whoo, whoo, baby. All right, let's move on to tennis quickly. I know we're probably running a little long here, and I am honestly very hungry, so I want to eat and get out of here. Tennis, they've played North Alabama and Samford this weekend. They beat North Alabama 4-1, Samford 5-2. The big news here, Kenny Thorne, our longtime men's tennis coach, has reached the 350 win mark. A
Good
tech. I
for him.
mean, he's at tech legend status at this point. Between how long he's been coaching, and how long he played for us, he's doing the classic alum to coach thing, and he's done a great job. So, anything to note here from this tennis slate against these two Alabama schools?
Not too much. Basically, exactly what you need to see, exactly what you want to see. Go for it, guys. So
Great.
look at Jacksonville State and Texas Tech coming up this weekend.
Fantastic. The ladies played Mississippi State and Rutgers this weekend. Mississippi State got us 4-2. I think of note there, Alejandra Cruz did win her match. We did not. We did win the doubles point, so that's nice. Very close. Cruz and Serena Yuki had to win a tiebreak to get theirs. Won that 10-8, and then the Rutgers match we won 6-1. Pretty clean across the board. Got that taken care of. So all good there.
So
They good.
one thing I wanted to note about Mississippi State is Olivia Carniero did retire in her match on court four.
Mm.
That was Mississippi a point of Mississippi State's four. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Without that, it's 3-2. Given Roach and Chiara de Genova were 2-2 in the third set on court three at the time. So, maybe something plays out a little bit different there. Had that match been able to
Yeah.
continue. So kind of unusual, but also unusual that Rutgers appears to only have brought five players. So
Oh
there
no.
was only two
Oh, I
doubles and
see.
five singles on that. So kind of weird, but
I wonder what they would
uh,
have done if we split the doubles points. Like, would we just go halvesy? Like, would they literally have gone halvesies on that? I don't actually know the rule there, uh, but that would have been.
I
I
don't
don't know. That
know.
would have been fun. Maybe they do a pick
They
your
didn't bring
people
enough
tie.
players,
Bring your
Jack.
maybe do a bring pick your people tie break. I don't know. You can get pretty creative with tie breaks. So, we have the California swing next week, Stanford and Cal. So
Yeah.
they'll have fun with that. All right. Lastly, let's talk
I
lacrosse.
did
Oh,
note
good.
too, real quick.
Yes.
Stanford and Cal are back-to-back days. That's pretty unusual for tennis. Usually it's Friday, Sunday type of matchups,
Well,
Notre
I'll
Dame,
bet.
Louisville type of road trip. So I assume it's to get them back in time for Monday classes,
Yes,
but
yeah, the travel day gets to be Saturday or early Sunday in that case, so better
okay.
call there, I think there. Lastly, we'll talk about lacrosse. Their season has started. They lost to Florida State in overtime, their first game of the season, 16-15, and then this weekend they lost Auburn 10-5 at home, and then they beat Alabama 10-7 today. Lacrosse only plays good, tough teams basically. Uh, no matter what. These losing these two matches is in by no way anything to hold our head low. I
Yeah.
would say.
I was going to say this concerns me very little, Jack.
Yep. Yep.
This is a good
Yep.
team, and all these teams they played have a great pedigree. So even though I completely forgot that they had started their season until we talked about it before this podcast, yeah, zero concern. They're
Yep.
they're, they're probably just fine. So
Yep. They will not play in here at the Sack Fields again until March 7 against Florida. Their
oh,
next games,
geez.
yeah. They have two games. They have a game next weekend against at South Carolina, and then they play a back to back against James Madison and North Carolina State at North Carolina State to end the
Hmm.
month. So, and then their other games are at Northeastern, who we played here last year, and then we play UConn up at Northeastern as well, and then we will host Jacksonville at the end of the month, and we host Georgia this year in April. So that's what we got
Ooh,
for the reigning
noted.
SELC champs. And
Wow.
then the ACC Swim and Dive Championships start tonight at Tech. So hopefully, I'm going to try and make it out there for at least one of the nights. So we'll have a lot to talk about that squad next week. If things are going well, the dive team will be Max Fowler will be killing it, and then the ladies will hopefully have some more program records now that they've tapered, and see how well that goes. So,
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the short roster looks like in an ACC setting because obviously it's
true,
not
true.
a thing that only Georgia Tech has been dealing with. So um, it'll be interesting to see how it translates. I know they've both been off of the rankings type of radar so far this year. So
Yep.
but we'll see how much it factors into that final number because Jack, my gut is the top tier talent, especially on the women's side, seems to be as good as ever, if not better. So, kind of interested to see how that holds up, and certainly against some of our conference foes who we really don't see during the regular season too much.
You can literally take this meet as a like, okay, who's going to be relevant for the 2028 Olympics? Literally, you can kind of
Yep.
take it seriously in that regard. Granted, the Walshes and the rest of them are out of college now, and so they'll probably still be
Bye.
leading the team.
Sayonara.
I know. It was very nice to watch them and Leon Marchand swim at Tech in 2022. That was special, but yep, that's a little bit different now. All right, I think that is all that I have for us. So, yeah, catch us next week.
Yeah, as always, this podcast is brought to you by FromTheRumbleSeat.com. Catch our writing over there. Email us from FromTheRumbleSeat@gmail.com for all of your comments and feedback. You can find us on Blue Sky. I'm over there at Jake Grant 98. Jack is Jack Nicholas. FTR's blog is over there as well. Find Section 103, the fine purveyor of Georgia Tech and other schools apparel at section103.com and at Section 103 on Instagram. You can find us on Instagram too, at From the Rumble Seat there, Facebook, YouTube. And also remember to check out gameonpaper.com. You can find this podcast wherever fine podcasts are sold. And as always, we appreciate the word of mouth. That is the very best way to tell somebody that you like this podcast and can direct them wherever fine podcasts are distributed. Until we speak again, good night, good luck, go Jackets.